Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our bi-weekly broadcast. Let's talk about it. It's been a while since we've been live, but here we are. We're live tonight, and this is sponsored by the Harford County Health Department Minority Health Program. So, where we highlight and discuss and bring awareness to all things health and public health for our community. And we are so glad and happy to be able to have this small space for us to discuss some very monumental issues. Before I go into what tonight's topic is going to be, I want you all to be aware that you can also view this broadcast on YouTube under the Harford County Health. And also, this is going to be streamed on multiple platforms. So I'm going to introduce my coworker, Michelle Peterson, and she's going to come to you with a few announcements.
Yes, hello, good evening. So, as of March 4th, the temporary COVID testing sites at Ripken Stadium and the Epic Center will be closed. For more information, visit our website at harfordcountyhealth.com. The Harford County Health Department is still offering vaccines and boosters, Pfizer, Moderna, and a very limited supply of J&J at our Woodbridge location at 1321 Woodbridge Station Way in Edgewood, 5 days a week from 9 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. by appointment only. To schedule an appointment, call 410-612-1779. And aside from March being Women's History Month, it is also Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month, with colon cancer being the third leading cause of cancer death for both men and women in the United States. It is very important to be screened. If you need assistance with getting screening, call the Harford County Health Department at 410-942-7930. We may be able to help you get a colonoscopy at no cost to you. And if you are pregnant or a new parent and need to get connected to the right resources, the Harford County Health Department's Megan's Place in Edgewood is accepting referrals and enrolling clients. For more information on that, call 410-612-17.
Oh no. Oh no, Michelle, you went on mute. Hold on one second. So I'm going to finish that up. If you need more information about the announcements that Michelle Peterson just gave, we're going to have that inside the chat.
Yes.
So, yes, this is Women's History Month. And instead, we decided to take this in a different direction. And instead of just highlighting our wonderful women of history that we have known over the years, we can name them Oprah Winfrey, Barbara Walters, others out there, Maya Angelou. We decided to do this in a different direction. We wanted to talk about how we as women can better take care of ourselves. And so what we did with our the help of our steering committee, we invited a special guest, and I'm going to introduce her in just a second. Her name is Delaney Watkins, and I'm going to read you a brief bio of her, and we're going to bring her on. And we're also going to bring on another special co-host as well, which I'm super excited about. This is going to be a great night and great discussion. Her name is Delaney Watkins. She's the CEO and Executive Director of the Women's Wellness Lounge Incorporated, a multifaceted health enterprise and nonprofit on a mission to lower poor health outcomes, increase health access, and eliminate health disparities among women of color. The Women's Wellness Lounge provides health services, signature wellness programs, group health coaching, and training to women of color and organizations that support their healthy journey. She is a 3-time Amazon best-selling author, national TV show host of the Women's Wellness Lounge Show, and the visionary author of the international collaborative book project entitled She Is Well, which became a global sisterhood movement impacting the lives of women in Ghana. So we are honored to have her on today, and I'm going to bring her on.
Good
Welcome,
evening.
Delana.
Hi, how are you? I am so excited to be here in this space with you ladies tonight.
Thank you so much. And before we get started talking about self care, I wanted to introduce another amazing diva,
Yes.
powerhouse. We are so honored to have her on as well to lend her voice to this discussion, Miss Mahisa Green.
Hello,
Hey,
hello.
happy to be here.
Yes, we are always glad when you are able to join into the discussion. And so, again, ladies, tonight we just want to have like a sisterhood discussion and talk about all things self care and what
Mhm.
it is like for us. We have some ways that we believe that we're caring for ourselves,
Yes.
but it's always good to refer to some professionals that have women coming in and out of their clinics, their offices, and their spaces that are doing it well and giving that information. So I'm overjoyed to have you all here tonight. And I just wanted to start out the discussion with just a roundtable real quick. How do you self-care? And I want to start with our guests first.
Absolutely. So self care for me is very important. And I do create a routine for myself. And it's a three-pronged process for me. And it involves, as we all hear this talk about, and it sounds so cliche, but it really involves mind, body, and spirit. And for me, that's the holistic approach to it. And what I can tell you for certain before I even get into the activities of what I do is for me, it's making sure that everyone who's in my space, and what I mean by my space is in my household who can call have access to me, they all know the importance of what self-care means to me so that they can respect it. And that is important. So it's understanding that you not only embrace self-care for yourself, but you make sure that those that are in your space, and I'm talking physically as well as in your eye space and your ear space and your, within that they understand the importance of self-care. So for me, it begins the moment that I open my eyes and my feet touch the ground. I start by first taking a drink of water. So I always have water accessible to me. So I always get up and I drink a drink of water. To me, that helps to replenish, wakes my body up, wakes my cells up, gets me going. And then I begin my routine for the day. And again, it's activities around the whole mind, body, and spirit. And so if you embrace that and develop what a plan looks like for you, and throughout our engaging roundtable talk that we'll talk about today, I'm going to give all of you that are watching and listening, and even if you watch the replay, I'm going to help you create a self-care plan for yourself, regardless of if
And
you
you
think it's not
won.
possible. I'm going to tell you that it is. I'm going to tell you that from taking a sip of water to taking a moment to yourself, it's all really part of self-care. Me and Mahisa. Mahisa knows how to do it too.
So that is thank you for that segue because I wanted to ask Mahisa next, what does self-care mean to you? Because um, even tonight, you usually are doing your mental Mondays, and we enjoy watching those. So
Mhm,
please share with us
Oh,
what
I'm just
self-care is for
laughing because
you.
me and Delana, I mean, we
mhm,
just share so much in common. I did do my mental Mondays. You're gonna love it. And so I
I
did
can't
right
wait.
before here, stopped and prayed in between and just make sure God can use me
mhm,
and then jumped right on. But self-care, she said it. I love that she said water. My water in the morning is warm with some lemon and a little bit of cayenne pepper. That's my
mhm.
little thing. Soon as I get up, start that little digestive tract.
Yep.
But
Mhm.
for me, self care is, as I talked about on my Mental Mondays, is boundaries. So lately, I have been talking
Yes.
about
Mhm,
physical, emotional time. Um, Today, I did intellectual boundaries and
mhm,
material boundaries, and because those boundaries are placed in my life, it is mind, body, and soul, just like Delana said. So because
mhm,
I place those boundaries, then I'm able to remove expectations so
Hmm.
that I can alleviate disappointment. And
mhm,
when I alleviate
mhm.
disappointment, it creates a peace. And that's what I'm about protecting. So if that's
Yes.
my gym at 5 a.m., those big words right there,
Mhm.
boundaries, peace, expectations, and no more disappointment, that's everything to do with my mind, body, and soul.
Yeah,
Boundaries is
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
Definitely.
We're gonna have to circle back to that, but I want to
Come
get
on
back.
now.
I want Michelle to tell us what self care is for her.
Well, to be honest, I think I neglect self care when it comes to myself. Honestly, because I have six children, four little ones out of the six. So, me finding self care, unfortunately, is not a cup of water in the morning. It's me sitting down, drinking my cup of coffee for about 15, 20 minutes before the
Come
kids
on
wake
now.
up.
Yes. Hey.
And I find a little peace when I go to the supermarket. So those are the little things that
I
I
love
really
it.
I neglect self care because I think I don't have boundaries. So my kids
Mhm.
don't understand that there's boundaries and when to let mommy have her time. So if I get lucky, if I can find a show on TV and watch one or two episodes without being disturbed. So I definitely think tonight would be great because I need to start looking more into other ways of
Mhm.
finding self care for myself. So
So
Yeah.
Michelle and I, full disclosure, we are the perfect candidates to hear your advice. We are
I
the
love it.
perfect candidates to hear
Mhm.
about self-care. My kind of ritual routine is I drink water in the morning, and I have heard
Mhm.
people say that warm water with lemon is best.
Mhm. Yes.
I do drink water in the morning, but I absolutely drink coffee.
Okay.
Um, my escape when my girls were little, and sometimes now, is sitting with a bunch of snacks in my car
Mhm.
That's
with my
real.
That's it.
bubbly,
That's real.
Yes.
That's real.
Uninterrupted snacking, okay?
uninterrupted
Yes.
Yes.
snacking and
Mhm.
just reflecting. And I dare somebody to come out the house and look at me
Right.
for that 10 or 15 minutes. I am so serious.
mhm.
Other than that, I feel like the boundaries aspect that Mahisa mentioned is
Mhm.
so vital, and just respecting our own boundaries.
Mhm.
Us respecting our own boundaries so others will respect our boundaries
That's it.
is really important. And also, but there's not too many ends and ons about my self care routine. Asides, I like to read and I like to
Mhm.
listen to music. And most times, just on the spur, I like to walk outside my house and walk. I walk until
That's
I
what we
can't
doing.
walk anymore,
That's
until
right.
my head feels clear. And then I
Mhm.
turn around and I walk back to the house.
Okay.
So, with that being said, I would love I would love for you all just to jump in and help us as professionals, as
Absolutely.
professional moms, as those that might be retired and might be watching our grandkids, and us women in general that feel as though that we can afford self-care. Um,
Mhm.
please, Delana.
Absolutely. Let me just tell you that those things that you just listed, those are self-care. Taking
Mhm.
that walk, sitting in the car, snacking, uninterrupted, things of that. Those are self-care activities. So don't count yourself short. You do in have some self-care activities that you are embracing. And I'm gonna actually, just because I think that for what I'm going to kind of jump into, that having Mahisa just say a few words about boundaries real quick before I kind of even jump into my whole spiel about self-care. Mahisa, if you can just because I already know, because you and I have had this discussion before, if you could just give the audience a little taste of what it looks like as far as boundaries, because that's going to set the tone for what I'm getting
Mm.
ready to share with them. Because as you can see, that ends up being the reason why nothing is generally put in place. I won't say nothing. I won't. I will say that generally, that's why most women feel as though they don't have a plan, or what they do don't qualify for considered self care activities, or they don't think that they can because they're not able to have those boundaries, and then have six kids, like Michelle talked about, respecting that and honoring that and understanding that if you give me my self care, I promise you I'm gonna show up 110%
Yep.
for you,
I
right?
love it.
So
Yeah.
we've got to figure
Someone
out that boundary piece. Would you say, Felicia?
I love it.
Someone just
Well,
said in the chat,
yeah.
they said women need to remember that no is a complete
Hmm.
sentence. So
Yes.
go ahead, Mahisa.
And
Hmm.
she said it. And first of all, I'm just so excited because this is when wise women win, because wise women work together. Delane is not
Yes.
only my sister, but she
Hmm.
is the expert here. But yet she would just, I'm just the co-host here. But I so appreciate that. She said I can set the tone, so I'm gonna set it in
Set
about
that
3 minutes.
tone.
I'm gonna set the tone, but I love that, Linda had said about that word no. And so I'm just gonna give you that quick synopsis of boundaries and learning how to set those boundaries. And because the first one is a physical boundary and learning
Mhm.
how to make sure that we're resting properly, learning how to make sure that we are putting that time in. What are we eating? Why are we feeling exhausted? Making sure that we have those boundaries. And then comes emotional boundaries. And that comes with
Mhm.
children and adults, being able
Mhm.
to share what we feel and create in safe spaces to be able to say to our children, listen, just what Delana said, I need this time right now. I want to go to the
Mhm.
Yes.
bathroom by myself and close the door. And I love you. I'm going to love you through this. And you might be upset with me, but we're going to be okay after this. Learning
Mhm.
how to let children know about why you can't do this and things like that. Emotional boundaries is being able to validate feelings. It's okay for you to say, I
Mhm.
think I'm neglecting self-care without feeling like I'm such this horrible mom, or the
Right.
opposite is that I'm doing too much self-care and I'm not taking care of my business.
Right.
We have to be able to
Mhm.
validate our feelings and also others.
Yes.
And then we have time boundaries. Where's this time schedule? We all work.
Mhm.
My schedule looks like I'm crazy, but I'm telling you, people find out, like Delana, we were laughing, that I'm in bed by 9:30. My day starts at 5. So people think that I'm a robot, that I'm up to 3 a.m., but I'm not. I'm in the bed at
Mhm.
9:30 because of my time boundaries. If it's not on my schedule, it's not going to get done. And it's just that simple. And
Mhm.
that goes for anybody, even my children. Sorry about the doctor's appointment. It was on the wrong day. I'm just saying. That's my
That's
time
right.
boundary. I say to
No, that's
everybody, like,
funny.
Not on there.
come on now. Everybody's emergencies is not my concern. I can't jump up every time somebody needs me, even
Mhm.
if it's my children. I'm sorry, I love you, but that's just me. And then I went on to talk about intellectual boundaries, being able to set those boundaries with who you sharing these visions and your ideas and
Yeah.
your thoughts with. Make sure that you're not sharing it with people who are going to belittle you or want to steal your ideas. Just be careful
Yes.
on who you're sharing them
Sabotage.
with. And I'm
Mhm.
just being,
Mhm.
and lastly would be the material boundaries. I love that Delana started off talking about her home
Mhm.
because that's what I was talking about today. The boundaries
Yeah.
in my home. This is my house. When my son got in trouble, I took the door off. You don't need a door because that's my house.
That's yeah.
You can't just pop up at my house anytime you want to because you're my sister or my brother. I love you.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, there's some
Mhm.
expectations in my house and there's some boundaries. You just got to let me know you're on your way. And
Yes.
that's when it comes to money just as well. Are we setting those financial boundaries, where we're not spending or overspending or learning how to invest? And I hope with this that the pandemic have taught people how to spend differently and
Yes.
Mm.
setting those boundaries
Oh,
that you
Come
can't keep
on.
asking me to borrow money because
mhm.
I look good. Because you just see me on 3 podcasts doesn't mean, oh, I got it going on. You can't
Come
just come
on.
and borrow anytime you feel like it. So set those boundaries so that
Mhm.
you can go ahead and remove these expectations from people that don't even know they have them, and stop being disappointed when they don't meet the ones for you.
Come on. See?
That's
That's a
go
good one.
ahead. Go
Mhm.
ahead.
Yeah, no, I said, see, that's why I needed Mahisa to set the tone, right? For that whole boundaries. That right
Yes.
there, everything that she said is going to lead me into what it is that I want to set the tone for you all. Really, the
Mhm.
whole, how they say, the meat and potatoes.
Mhm.
Okay. So we getting ready to
Yes.
combine this and stir it all up and make it real good for you. We
Come
about to
on
stir all
now.
this up. So I want you guys to put in the chat, write on a piece of paper, put it in your phone, do whatever you do. I want you to put down these 3 things. Reimagine self-care. I want you all to reimagine self-care, because what we thought that it was, or what we have been told that it was, what we observed, that's right, Mahisa. Reimagine self-care. Let's do it. Reimagine
Yeah,
self-care.
I put it in there.
Yes. So I want you to reimagine that. And that requires us to do a little bit of work. First of all, I'm going to tell you what we initially have been told or thought or read or saw what self-care was about, and how we kind of got to this place. We got here because, to our detriment, we were told that we're strong, we're heroes, we're resilient, we're super women. We can relate to all of that. And it's so good that we're talking about this during Women's History Month, right? All
Mhm.
that is good, y'all, but we can't wear that as a badge of honor. Put that back, throw that down,
Come on
you know,
now.
erase
Yeah.
it, delete, control, alt delete, all of that. Get that out of your thinking. Reimagine self-care. Because, honey, that is not what it is at all. Let me just tell you that embracing self care, understanding self care, defining it for what it means to you, that's a superhero. That's resilience. That's strong. And that's being a hero. By saying to you, I'm not a bobblehead. So I'm not going to say yes to everything that comes my way. I'm not going to overcommit myself to different things that either serve or don't serve me or take away from me if I'm not able to do it. Like Mahisa said,
Right.
if I can't show up and if I'm not able to do it, then I'm not going to be a bobblehead just because it makes me look good. Not
Mhm.
going to do it. So that's where that whole saying no is a complete sentence comes into play. I'm getting ready to tell you what being strong, being a superhero, being a superwoman, being resilient looks like. And it's not that.
Mhm.
Okay. So again, reimagining wellness. So when we think
So,
about that, I want you
mhm,
to understand this. It's the other nugget I'm going to drop on you. And that is that wholeness is the foundation for wellness. So wholeness. So that's mind, body, and spirit. Wholeness is the foundation for wellness.
Mhm.
I'll put
And
that
so
in.
we have to make sure that we're embracing that and incorporating those things. And then self-care is a part of that wellness. So really the first part of it is self-care is a part of wholeness. And then wholeness is the foundation for wellness. So that's really the first part. So self-care is a part
Mhm,
of wholeness, and then wholeness is wellness. And that's the place that we want to live.
Mm.
So what does
you
that
know,
look like? That
yeah.
looks like that superhero, that superwoman, the resilience. I'm gonna want you to break them all down because they lead to stress. And we getting ready to two punch,
Come
Mm.
knock
on.
out, undercut, and TKO stress. We about to
Come on.
take it all down because this is what happens when we operate in stress. And stress, basically, there's good stress and there's bad stress. So naturally, bad stress is what we're talking about. You stress is what's good stress. That's I got a party coming up. I'm getting married. I'm graduating from school. I got the degree. That's all the good stuff, right? Those are the stresses that we may be under. We welcome that type of stress. It's the distress that leads to dis-ease, which is what we are talking about getting rid of. And so elevating ourselves to a place of thinking that we need to add value in the world in order to be resilient and a hero and all those adjectives I talked about earlier. I want you to knock them out by coming up with a self-care activity that negates that.
Mm,
So, in order for you to say, I'm a superwoman, what did you do to become that superwoman, right?
mm,
How is that superwoman showing up with those boundaries that Mahisa talked about, right? So, for that superwoman, the antidote for that is she's going to get up, she's going to do some mind neck up checkup activities, she's going to meditate in the morning. 30
Mm,
seconds meditation doesn't have to be long, it don't have to be long. It's meditation and mindfulness. It's setting your intentions for the day. When you get up and when you have that warm glass of water with your lemon in it to again get that digestive going, get your cells woke up, you sit
mhm.
there during that time while you're drinking, just get in the moment for to set the tone and the expectation for your day. Boom, that's self-care activity 1 and 2.
That's
Mhm.
awesome.
I
This
love it.
is, we have a comment in here
Mhm.
that talks about this very topic. Says, I struggle with this due to my stress and
Yes,
anxiety. And it was email,
absolutely.
yes.
And the
And
stress and the anxiety comes from, again, letting all these things in. Number one, the boundaries. Let me be clear about that. It's the boundaries, number one, that
Mhm.
then puts us in what I talk about and call the ozone. We're overcommitted, so we become overstressed because we've likely said yes to too many things, right? We
Mhm.
already have so many responsibilities roles and responsibilities that we play just from the mere fact of us
Yeah.
being women. And
Come on.
then we then go on and begin to add to that. So I want us to be very careful. Remember, because we're reimagining. Well, we are reimagining self care. So
mm,
in your time of reimagining self care, that's what that looks like. That looks
mm,
like you being able to say no, and boom, guess what? That's my superpower. I said
Yeah.
no to you, so that's my superpower. Not that I can
mhm.
show up and do the most. It's that I said no to you. So that's now me reimagining self care.
So
Okay,
Mhm.
Yes.
okay.
listen, I
Yes.
love it. I love it. And I wanted to circle back to something else that you had mentioned. And Michelle and I, we had this conversation briefly earlier today. Is that as Black women, as when
Mhm.
women of color, we were always taught that we have to be the best and we have to be better.
Yes.
We have to work harder.
Mhm.
Burn the midnight oil.
Mhm.
Absolutely. In
And so,
comparison to who?
and
Right? In
Yep. Come
comparison
on
to
now.
who?
Yep.
Mhm.
In
And
comparison
so,
to
but look what it's done for us. We're
Yes.
here now, and
Mhm.
we're dealing with issues that we don't usually talk about, like our mental health.
Yes.
And these simple things that you're saying, I want the listeners to know these are achievable, these are simple. Don't
Absolutely.
feel defeated because you can't do them all. Do one or two
Yes.
so
Yes.
your
Mhm.
mind can be clear, so you can go on to the next step. So
Mm-hmm.
please go on to the next. I just wanted to interject that.
Okay, no, that's great because you're setting the tone. Like I said, I'm just giving, like I said, I'm going to give you some simple things that you can see yourself doing.
Yeah.
You can reimagine this self care for you. Like Michelle, I'm picking on you. You got 6 kids. You said 4 of them little. Guess what? Once you start to say, you know what, for the first 15 minutes in the morning, I'm going to have my coffee and I'm going to sit here and I'm thinking about my intentions on how I'm going to deal with you, how I'm going to deal with this job, how I'm going to deal with everything else I have going on. They will begin to respect that. Why? Because they understand that doing that puts you in a better place mentally and emotionally so that you can then show up for them, as I said before,
Yes.
110, 120%. Because then you're not stressed out and your mind isn't clicking and ticking and thinking about the things that you either weren't able to do, couldn't quite accomplish, or you were only half able to do. So although you're there with them physically, you're not there with them emotionally because you're
Right.
too busy caught up in thinking about the
Yes.
things that you weren't able to get done or the things you still have to do. So those are just two very easy self-care things that you can do starting tomorrow morning, Tuesday morning. Michelle,
Right.
when you
Yes.
get up to have your coffee, however you take
Yes.
it, black, decaf, whatever, however you take it, you're going to take that along with your mental wellness moment, your mindfulness, your moment to set the intentions for the day. That's
Mhm.
already two self-care things that you've done just there before you even walk outside of your bedroom to go out to face the day. You've already set the intentions for the day. Now that's again just kind of that emotional or mental part of it. Then we can move into, like I said, we go negate or get the antidote for the
Yeah.
superwoman, right? We're going to take that
Mhm.
cape off. So the antidote for her is going to be what we're going to do for ourselves physically. Now,
Mm-hmm.
again,
Mhm.
picking on you again, Michelle, you got
Come
What we
on.
doing?
6 kids, small ones, you're probably not
Come
getting out
on.
to the gym, right? Me and Mahisa, that's a regular
Nope.
routine for me. It's a regular routine for her. But that doesn't mean that in your self-care that you have to neglect your physical because you're not able to get out to the gym, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
instead, you tell them, you know what? Let's pick a song. Each of them, which you got 4 little ones, they can pick a
Mhm.
song each day of the week. Y'all pick a song, and for 3.5 minutes or however long that song is, we're gonna have a dance off. We're gonna do whatever. That is, you're releasing, that emotional stress.
Mhm.
You're also getting your physical on and spending time with your kids, not feeling like you're
Yes.
not able to spend time with them. So again,
Right.
it's being able to do what we're able to do with what we have, where we
Yes.
are,
Yes.
reimagining self-care. And
Yeah.
they, again, you're including your kids. So that
Mhm.
boundaries, they're going to understand what that means for you and you're including them in it.
Yes.
So again, that's the superwoman part. So that's the physical part. And then
Mhm.
during that physical, there's 3 F's that I like to refer to, and that's the food, the fuel, food, and then making fun, fitness
Right.
or having physical fun. So those are the 3 F's that I like to focus on for self-care. So it's the fuel. What are you feeding your body, both drinking and eating? And because you have to fuel your mind and fuel your body with nutrient dense food, not a bunch of sweets, not a bunch of
Mhm.
foods that are processed, full of sugar laden. That right there, although you think it's giving you a burst of energy, it really is wearing your body down and it's
Yes.
making the
Mhm.
energy that you would normally take for those activities to break down that awful, crappy food you just fed it. So it's
Right.
just those little small things that we can do. Now let's move on to the third part of that
Come
three-pronged
on.
process that
Come
I
on,
talked
we're
about,
ready. I'm
which
right.
is
Take
your
it ready.
soul or your spirit, right? That's that resilient one. So we're
Yes.
Mhm.
going to add that antidote for that resilient piece. Come on now. Give yourself a cry every now and then. Go into your soul, go into
Yes.
spiritually, find out what you're doing. Girl, you tired. Say that you're
Yes.
tired. It's okay that you say that you're tired. Is it heavy? What's weighing on you? What are you feeling at this moment? Shed a tear or two. It's okay.
It's
It's,
Mhm.
I
okay.
promise you that it's okay. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get
It
into
is.
where you are.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I want all of you to jump in as
Sure.
well. And I'm checking the sentence, but there is something that I had read. It was in a New York Times article, and it
Mhm.
talked about the biggest thing that the pandemic helped us to not do well was be connected, but
Yes.
our faith and being rooted
Mhm.
in our faith was the one thing that a lot of us missed. But we have to, I don't care what it is that
Mhm.
you personally believe, but having some type of connection, some type of home base
Yes.
is
Absolutely.
very important.
Mhm. Yep.
Mhm.
And
And
faith
Mhm.
is a
nowadays,
big
Felicia, it is so simple as downloading an app.
Yes.
I mean, come
Yes.
on. If you're going to use your apps and technology for anything, make sure it's for your good. And so as simple as downloading an app that
Download
can
the app,
send you
y'all.
right something across your screen at a particular time. For me, it's 8 o'clock in the morning. It sends it across. I either at that time I'm either doing it during my meditation, or I will pin it to go back to it, after my workout. It really just depends on what how my morning works out. But again, it's part of that three-pronged
Yes.
process that I talked about. I will get it in mind, body,
Yes.
and soul. And
So,
I
so,
love it. I love
hmm
it.
so,
Yes.
I love it.
ladies, jump in here because
I
we
wanted to
want
jump in.
to.
I know
Go ahead.
Delana had said you might not even realize you said it, but you probably did when you talked about the app. When you say if you're going to
yeah,
use the apps, right, use it for good. So I'm like, we
yeah,
so in sync, because I would always talk about distractions. And
yep.
like that's a part of my self-care, is recognizing when I'm distracted by things that are not beneficial.
hmm
And so I would
Mhm.
say manage my distractions by, if I'm going to be on Instagram or whatever I'm going to be doing, is going to be beneficial. And then I'm going to make sure that my words and what I'm doing is going to be positive, that I'm always giving back.
hmm
So if I know that I'm
Mhm.
now, just for instance, distracting Felicia because she want to see what I was doing, that I'm going to make sure that it's going to be something beneficial, that Felicia, so she's not just looking at a picture of me, over here.
Mhm.
It's going to be something that's going to be under it that's inspirational. And so, that's a part of my self-care, is really
Mhm.
recognizing distractions and
hmm
knowing when to knock them out, and we're knowing
Mhm.
how to be like, whoa, let me get back on track,
Right.
with things.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yep. I
absolutely.
love it. I
See,
love
that's
it
good. Yeah.
Definitely.
because you all answered a lot of the questions that we actually had, and I remember
That's good.
not so there was another part of it too,
Mhm.
that people need to understand more of the practical tips. I know we were watching that one video, and she
Mhm.
said getting up when you're depressed or you're dealing with anxiety, and taking care of your hygiene,
Yeah.
Yes.
making it a priority even when
Mhm.
you might not feel like you can get up.
Right.
Get in the
Mhm.
shower,
Mhm. Yeah.
put
Yeah.
something water on your face,
Mhm.
make your space clean, and open up a window. I think one of
Mhm.
them was opening up
Yeah.
a window
Yes.
and letting the light
Letting
in.
the light
Mhm.
in. Mhm.
Very
So
important.
if you
Very
all thought we were gonna have these
I agree.
expensive go to the spa, go,
no.
wine and dine, no, we
No.
wanna make this practical, and that's why we brought some practical divas on here to talk about practical ways that
Yes.
you
Mhm.
can de-stress and take
Absolutely.
care of yourself. Michelle, check and see if we have any go ahead. I'll
No,
check.
I was gonna say, now I remember years ago, I was at my old job, and me and this lady, she's a church lady, and we argued because she said, God says you have to put yourself first. I argued her down like, no, I put my kids first. My kids is everything that,
Mhm.
and now I'm starting to realize what that really means, because
Yes.
if you
Uh-huh.
don't put yourself first, you
Mhm.
will be no good for your children.
Yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yep.
And I want to go back and tell her I'm sorry for arguing her
Come
down.
on now. You saying it now, Michelle. You telling her sorry
I
now.
hope
You
that
say
she hears me.
she hears
Yes,
you somewhere.
absolutely.
You
Yep.
saying,
Yep.
Right.
thank you, wise woman, for giving me
Thank you.
wisdom then when
Right.
I didn't
Yes.
understand it.
Yes.
Mahisa, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was getting ready to say those were words from a wise woman. And so
Yes.
that's
Mhm.
going to lead me into what I was getting ready to say next,
Go
Michelle.
ahead,
Although I
please.
was picking on you, was saying that about your children to say, anyone else who's watching, I'm big on legacy. And so, again, when we talk about what our legacy was, that we've learned was to be strong. And, we start out this discussion by saying that. And what you teach your children is that it's not necessarily that you have to be strong. It's you're putting
Mm.
yourself first so that
Yes.
I can have the strength to show up for you.
Right.
I
So
love it.
that's what you're teaching them when
I
you
love
take the
it.
time for yourself
Yes.
and when you set the boundaries and when you do that, the next generation will know, hold up, wait a minute. I don't have to go out here and be doing all this and have all my
Mhm.
time to be, productive and
Come
so
on now.
no,
Right.
it's teaching and it's allowing our children
Yes.
and then prayerfully their children to know,
Mm.
creating that healthy legacy, right? Because we are what? Reimagining self-care.
Yep.
That's what it looks like. It doesn't look
Yeah.
like doing the most for everyone. It's
Everybody.
really you and then having the strength to say
Right. Right.
yeah.
What you said, Delana, it doesn't look like me being the overdoor procrastinator.
Ab-
That's not a part of my self care.
at
Right,
all.
Oh,
exactly.
okay. It
Come
doesn't
through.
look like me carrying the weight of everybody in the family on my shoulders for me to be
No,
the strong woman. Come on
no,
now.
Mhm.
mm-mm,
Mm.
no. we reimagining that, right? And
Yes.
redefining it.
Yeah.
That's what we just
Yes.
did tonight on this show.
Let me tell you something. Tonight, we just had some comments, and I have one comment on YouTube. They are so thankful. Someone said, "I'm so thankful that I stumbled across this broadcast tonight." And
Yes.
she shared it with somebody else, which is great. Ladies, this has been an amazing
Mhm.
discussion. And
Thank
before
you.
I let you go, I want you to know how thankful again that I am just for your presence here in Harford County and the access that
Mhm.
the health department has to you, and volunteering your time tonight. You two are
Absolutely.
amazing, and we
Thank
thank
you.
you. We have
Thank
one
you
last
as well.
announcement that we got cut off before Michelle's microphone went off,
Oh
but
yeah,
we
and it was going to flow perfectly. I'm like, I had time. But yeah. So for March, we are finishing up our preparation for a smoothie sip and paint, where we can discuss healthy ways to make smoothies and distress while painting. And then in April, we are partnering with the Boys and Girls Club to host a lock-in for the teenage boys. This
yes,
event will
yes,
be filled with fun, and it will address mental health in the family. So
yes.
stay
Mhm.
tuned for those flyers.
But
Yes.
one last thing, that one, the sip and paint, we have to limit it because of the fact that our
Mhm.
crock pot event went phenomenal.
Mhm.
We had to cut that off, and everyone got a crock pot. We had a lot of attendees. This time we're going to do healthy smoothies and paint,
Mhm. I
and
Mhm.
love
it's
that.
free.
Yes.
It is
Yes.
free. Don't sit back and complain, talking
I
about I
love
don't know what
that.
I'm going to do. There's
Uh-huh.
What's
nothing
the
I
date for that, Michelle?
That's
We're trying to do it March 30th or the
March
31st.
30th for sure.
Yeah,
That's the
Okay.
30th.
date, and it's
Okay.
going to be again with Chef Catherine Brown.
Chef Catherine.
Oh,
She's
my
amazing.
girl, Catherine. Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
she's
Yes,
amazing.
she
So she's going to
is.
be there. Um, just look out for the flyer. We'll have the flyers, so stay tuned for that.
Okay.
And the mental health lock-in is going to be. It's called I, We, You Matter, and
I
so
love
that's
it.
going to be April 29th.
April
Right,
29th.
April 29th at the Boys and Girls Club in Aberdeen. So, um, the Let's Focus on the Family series, Minority Health, we are geared towards the mental health aspect, but the holistic part, which is the
Mhm.
family. So these are just the next broadcast that we'll do. We'll have Dr. John Sampson on, and he's going to talk about maternal health and
Mhm.
minority women. And
Yes.
that's going to be another great discussion. I would love for you all to come
Mhm.
back on and be co-host and ask him
Mhm.
questions. He's amazing, and he's been
Yes.
on before, but he's a great resource as well. So again, thank you, ladies, so
Yes.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you
And
for inviting
we
me.
had it. Oh, absolutely. You're gonna have to come back. We enjoyed your
Oh
show.
yes.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Part
we
two.
Oh
did.
yes.
We're gonna have to do a part two.
Yes.
And
Yes.
Oh
so,
yes.
ladies, have a great evening. And audience, thank you
Thank
for
you.
joining us. You can find us again on the Harford County Health page and our own website in Minority Health, and you can find our updated flyers. Have a good evening.
Good night.
Good
Good night.
night.
Right. Thank you.